Hello and happy June. Can you believe it's June already? Where has the time gone? I have no idea. Anyway, in today's video, we will be taking another look at the Michael Harding watercolors because in last week's video, there are a couple things that I forgot to tell you, a couple things I wanted to emphasize, and I want to make some convenience mixes and finish a full-size palette this week instead of just using that little travel palette. So there is a big part of me that just wants to keep the tubes that I have with paint in them, but there's a bigger part of me that wants to have all the colors that I want for this particular brand. And you can see we did a whole bunch of mixes. I shared all these mixes over on my Patreon site. We had a lot of fun doing this together. And if you want to see all of the goodies and extra benefits that you might get over on Patreon, I will link that here at the bottom of the screen and in the description box below. However, what this mixing chart has shown me is that there are some mixes that I can do that will make this palette way more complete, even though it might use up all the paint in my precious tubes. But let's get to it anyway. Now, just in case you have not seen that previous video, which I will link in the corner and in the description box below, where I first played with these Michael Harding watercolors, I'll give you a brief overcap here. This is the spring floral set, so it comes with these 6 colors. However, what I found with these mixes is that I could probably make a very nice convenience orange, a convenience purple, and I want to shoot for a convenience brown, maybe kind of a burnt sienna tone or something a little bit darker or deeper in the brown tones, and maybe some kind of Payne's Gray indigo color. So that is the goal of this video. We are going to start with the purple because that's going to be the easiest one. Well, I mean, orange would be too, but I want purple for sure. I don't know how far this paint's going to go. I need more already. Just kidding, we'll make it work. I'm going to use a full pan, but I'm not going to fill it up all the way so that I have enough of the colors for the other mixes. So I am shooting for probably this purple right here. It seems to be my favorite when I look at this mixture. So we're gonna go with the Quin Rose in the Phthalo Blue Red shade, and I got my tube squeezer out so I can get every little bit out of this and hope for the best. I also have my Hanamule 100% cotton sketchbook here to try out the mixes in because I tend to not reach for this particular sketchbook very often. Figured I should use it because of that reason alone. I always reach for my Etcher one more so, but I do like this one. I'll get a little bit of paint. That's quite a bit. There's still a bunch in there, so that's good because I'm going to need it for my Payne's Grayish mixture. And I actually spent a lot of time stirring each one. I wanted to make sure they were thoroughly mixed together. So this is sped up by 300% here. All right, let's try this out. Whoa, that's beautiful. I don't think we need to change a thing. I think that is absolutely perfection right there. That's great. Good news. Well, that was easy. I guess we move on to orange now. I'm going to use the Yellow Lake and the Quin Rose for this one. See what we have here. I suspect we're going to need to add more yellow. Whoa! Oh goodness. That's so vibrant, I don't even know what to do with it. As far as the hue though, that's about perfect again. Let's try some from the pan here. Yeah, I kind of think we don't need to change anything again. Interesting. Let's do a little dispersion test here. Well, that was easy. Now for the hard one, a brown. As far as the brown, I do like these. These are very similar to burnt siennas, kind of. And then if I add a little bit of the dark in, so I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm thinking for sure, but maybe mix the two greens and a little quin rose together. I think we'll try that. What we could do is try a couple of mixes here on this palette. All right, if we have the hooker's green and the moss green, probably too much water, and then quin rose. Let's see what kind of brown we get. That's very nice. That is a nice brown. I thought about making a dark brown, but I'm not sure. Let's add a little of the phthalo in. More greens and more of that. Now let's see what we have. Ooh, interesting. Not quite what I'm looking for though. This is too green tinted. So I need more of a base of these ones here first. I don't know that I want the blue in it. Let's try this. Yeah, that's really nice. Cool. So the two greens and some quin rose. A nicely pigmented form. As far as how much of each, yikes, no clue. Could be interesting. Greens and the rose. Oh boy, here it goes. How much rose? No idea. More rose than that. That's looking pretty good. This is exciting. Boy, that rose is so sticky. This looks like a nice dark brown, but we'll see how green it is. See if I did it right or wrong. I'm so excited. Here we go. Okay. More water, I think. Oh, wow. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, that's better than I could have hoped for. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. This is so awesome. Oh, it's beautiful and it's dark and I love it. Wow. Oh, that's incredible. All right, let's see if it disperses at all. Just because it's fun. It's fun. I love that brown. Deep, dark brown. Love it. That wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Now, how to make Payne's gray-ish color. Definitely the phthalo blue. Definitely the quin rose. But then what? What is in the hooker's green again? Green, a red, and a yellow. Yeah, I'm thinking hooker's green, phthalo blue, and a little bit of rose. This could be interesting. I guess we could try it on here again. Okay, so we have hooker's green. I have no clean spot. I need a clean spot. Hang on. Let's try hooker's green. Got it. Phthalo blue. More than that. And the rose. Ooh. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, yes. Oh, that's perfect. A little bit darker, so like more pigment of each one of those, and we have a beautiful winner. And yeah, granted this has more blue in it, so it's more maybe an indigo, but I love indigos. Or this is a blue leaning Payne's Gray. Yes, we're gonna go with that. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, Hooker's Green. Using my tube squeezer so that it doesn't dry out down at the bottom where it's not condensed with the others, you know? I don't know how much of each to put in. I think a little more. Say a little blue red shade. Strong color, but I need plenty of it in this mix. So I'm hoping I'm doing this correctly. Totally guessing and having fun doing it. If there's a more scientific way of doing it, I don't care. This is fun. Having trouble with these lids. There we go. And Quinn Rose. See what this looks like. I'm nervous and excited about this. Okay, 2 blue. It definitely is beautiful though. That's like indigo. Boy, it's so dark in the camera you can't even see it. Let me lighten it up for you. Yeah, that's neat, but that's too blue. What would I add to it? Try it over here. We have a little bit of that, and we add a little bit of, boy, it's pretty though. Just not quite what I'm looking for. What if we add moss green to it? That would be weird. That's too much. Moss green. Nope. A little red. That's too much red. Less red. What if we add, I don't know, maybe it's perfect. Maybe we got another perfect mix again. I'm kind of thinking it might be. Like I almost want to add some of this brown into it. Let's try that. Like I don't want it to be neutral tint though. Ugh, not enough pigment. All right, we got our mix, and then let's add some of our brown into it. I think I added too much. Ooh, 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 pretty. That's more like a neutral tint. Let's add a little bit more of this back into it. Oops, too much. Okay, so we need to add some of our brown mixture into it. What was our brown? The 2 greens and a rose, I think? Okay, so a little bit of the moss green and some rose. We'll try that. This is gonna be like a 1200 pigment mix. Let's see what we have here. Way too much pigment. Not quite what I'm looking for. Oh, maybe. Not really going for a neutral tint. I kind of want more of a Payne's Gray, which is kind of what I have, just not very, I think we need more space for this one. Let's move up to over here. Get another look at this. Oh, dang, it might be perfect. I maybe should just go with it. I think a little more moss green and red, and I'm almost out of red. Better use this color a lot because it's turning out to be a very big tube, or very big pan, I should say. Tube. A tube on the brain. See what this looks like. It's probably not any different than anything we've mixed yet, but it's pretty. Well, oh gosh, you couldn't even see it. All right, this is what it looks like, which is pretty much what we started with. Ha ha ha. Oh, well, that's funny. But that definitely looks Payne's Grayish, and I'm happy with it, which is good because My full pan is full. It had an air bubble that popped so I could get a tiny bit more paint in there, but I don't need to. So that's the palette now. We've got an orange, a purple, beautiful brown that I'm so happy with, and the Payne's gray, which I'm also very happy with. One thing that I've been curious about trying, because this orange is so crazy vibrant, which that's not a bad thing, but I'm just wondering what happens if we kind of tone it down a little bit. So let's get some of that orange here, and I wonder if we took just a touch of the phthalo blue. How much do I have? Okay. Yeah, so that definitely, or a really bright orange. That is the question of the day. Let's take some in a bigger mixing space here. So vibrant, which is quite pretty, really is. A little bit of blue. That was way too much. I didn't even think I touched it that much. Oh boy. Looks like the tiniest touch of blue would help it, but here it is on its own again. Do we want to keep it bright and vibrant? Let me show this to you closer and get your opinion here. So I could probably mix in a little touch of blue today still, but I think I'm gonna keep it vibrant. What would you guys have done? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments below. Let's put this palette together and paint. We have secured all the full pans to the palette. See, they don't fall off. Made the swatch sheet. I will share this exclusive video with my Patreons if you want to go check that out. We do a lot of fun things over there, and you get postcards and stuff. It's a fun place to be. But I laminated it, so it is ready to be clipped in there, and then I can shut this, and the sticky paint can get on this, and it won't ruin it. So that's all good. What I would like to do is add my DIY colors to these swatch charts and to the light fast sheet, just because, I don't know, I'm kind of curious if the color combinations will change anything. It should. I mean, it obviously shouldn't. I don't know, but I just want them on there, okay? Just work with me here. So we'll add those to there and then add the DIY colors to this project. And then the last thing would be to do a painting using this new full-size palette. And I'll speed through this one, but I'll show you the swatches for my main watercolor project in real time, just because they're fun and it's nice to see these beautiful colors in slow-mo again. And I'll link my Light Fast playlist up in the corner for you and in the description box below if you want to see what that's all about. All right, see if this will work. Without the camera shutting off this time. There's the very, very, very bright orange. Oh, salt. Almost forgot. Next, the purple. All right, let's see this purple in action. I cannot wait. These DIY mixes are so fun. Like, I am so thrilled with them. That got diluted fast. Some more water in my brush, some more paint. I think I said that weird, s'more. Oh, so pretty. Yeah, so that dilutes fast. I'm also having to use a wet pan of paint over there. That always makes things a little trickier because you can't wet the full top of the pan quite like I normally would with the dried out pan. Okay. Oh, salt. See, I almost forgot salt again. That's very granulating looking. That over here. Hope the cats don't step on that one too. Do my professional wiping off job. Now what color? The DIY Payne's Gray. Let's see this one bigger. Wow. My brush touched a little bit of the rim of that pan, which had a little bit of the green on it. So this I had to remix some, but I think we're pretty much in the right color here. A little more green at the top than it should be, but it's okay. I think I mostly stirred it all in. I should have not have left the green on the rim of that pan, that's for sure. And the last one, my favorite one, that beautiful brown. Let me see if I can clean off the whatever that is. Good enough. You ready? You ready for my favorite brown? I wish I had made more of it. It's so pretty. Oh my goodness, who knew you could make such a gorgeous brown? All on your own. Ah, I just love it. So pretty. Just want to get a good representation of it going here. And without any further fanfare, we are going to dig right into the painting. I'm wetting the entire surface, and you can see how beautiful and bright that phthalo blue is, and then I'm mixing in a little bit of my DIY Payne's Gray. What I have in mind is a landscape that will use a lot of the DIY colors that I made because I want to test them out, particularly the Payne's Gray and the brown, and not so much the orange, although I do kind of pull that in a little tiny bit later. Not so much the purple either, but definitely the Payne's Gray and the brown. I'm going to call it a Payne's Gray. It's just the way it is. So one of the things that I wanted to tell you from the last video that I forgot is the water brushes that came with the micro portable painter are different. I had Tori, my daughter-in-law, basically, she had complained, well, not complained so much, but like stated that every time she would use her water brushes, the paint would get sucked back into them. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. I've never experienced that before with my water brushes. But I did kind of experience that with those water brushes. So I thought maybe when she was squeezing the water out, she was doing it kind of over her paint. And when you let go of it, it does kind of suck air back into it. But it's definitely a difference between water brushes. So some water brushes, you can squeeze the water out and it doesn't like suck air back into it so much. It gets its air from, I don't know, an extra, I have no idea. I'm totally making things up. An extra hole, I have no idea if they have ventilation in them somehow better than others or what. But the water brushes that came with this, I did notice that they would try and suck whatever you had in the water brush back up into the barrel. So I had to be very careful when I was squeezing water out to make sure I was definitely over the towel, not over any paint, and trying to squeeze out and not letting go of that water brush until the color was mostly out of the end of it. So that's not really related to the Michael Harding paints, except for the fact that they're so vibrant that a lot of the color, the pigment, tends to be in the water brush. So that was the first thing. The second thing is very much specifically about these Michael Harding watercolors. They are ultra pigmented, they're almost fluorescent. And I think I did mention that in that video, but I am going to be very curious how the light fast testing comes out on these. You really have to add a lot of water to these to get any kind of light color. So you want a pastel, you barely touch your brush into the paint, mix a lot of water in with it, and then you might have a kind of light color that you can use in more muted scenes. So if you are somebody that wants to buy a tube of paint and just have it last forever, this might be the brand for you because you don't have to use much and you have to dilute it a lot. One thing I found myself doing on this painting was muting all the colors. So I would take the complement or add brown in to whatever color I'm using just to get it to be less vibrant, less bright. And that's pretty weird for me because I like my bright colors, but these were a little bit over the top for what I needed. And I think that I'm going to probably continue to have to mute them down because even though I like bright colors, a lot of my paintings tend to need the colors like you're seeing in the painting here. And something kind of funny, do you guys see the two ceramic palettes on the left side of the painting? I pulled those over there not just to look nice on the screen, but I was going to use the paint out of them to paint this painting because I wanted to use that paint up, and I don't know, I had tunnel vision. It's like once I started painting and saw the palette on the right side of my painting, that's all I used. It was like the left side didn't even exist. Those palettes were not even there. Yeah, it was so funny. I finished the whole painting, and then like I was moving things around, and I was like, oh my gosh, these 2 palettes are still there and didn't even touch them once. So I'm planning a fun video for my Patreon supporters where we're going to try and use up those palettes in this Hanamule sketchbook, because I also don't reach for this Hanamule sketchbook very much. Yes, it's 100% cotton paper, but as we've talked about in a lot of my previous videos, like every time I go to use this sketchbook, it's more for urban sketching. I think it's more suited for light washes and some ink, not the kind of watercoloring that I really enjoy. So when I think of painting something really beautiful and fun, I want to reach for my Balhong paper or my Arches paper or my Fabriano paper, not this Hanamule sketchbook. However, it's going to be perfect for something like using up all the colors in those 2 ceramic palettes that I forgot on the left side over there. I did actually take this Hanamule sketchbook to the park today because I met with my little group get together at a different park than the last park I showed you guys. I don't know if I showed you guys that actually, but anyway, met at a park twice now, and this was a different park. Decided to bring this sketchbook and paint big in plein air, and that was kind of fun. So again, the paper it's not my favorite, but it worked okay. It dried really, really quickly in the little tiny bit of a breeze that we had at the park today, but I didn't mind it so much. It doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't really bug me per se, but at the same time, do you see that line in the back of the purple mountain, that kind of like green line in this painting here? That was not intentional. That was not supposed to be a mountain so much. That was when I added water again to the bottom of the paper, the bottom half, and it bled in a bloom up to that line, and I just went with it. I'm like, you know what, that actually looks like an even more distant mountain, and I kind of like it, but that was not planned. That is something the paper did all on its own. But I imagine you're seeing how much I am diluting these colors, trying to get more muted of the scene, and it's just, yeah, I pull a little bit out and watch this like, oh, that's so bright. So bright. And that's the moss green. I pulled out the moss green and it looks like that super bright yellow back there. So apparently you have to use the moss green like more in its mass tone to get the dark green that you're seeing up on the swatch sheet above the palette. So I found that pretty interesting. It reminded me a lot more like of a Nicolazzo yellow or something like that, or Quin Gold. I don't know. It's definitely got the green tint to it, but the fact that it is so bright when it's diluted is very interesting. So you can see I added some other color to that to tone it down. That was the name of the game in this painting, was let's tone everything down. And you saw, except for when I wet the whole paper, I used the big Lindsay Ryrich brush, size 12 round. Am I saying her last name right? I still don't know. I need to go to her channel and see how she says her last name. Anyway, regardless, I am using the Princeton Aqua Elite size, I think that was a size 8. Oh, here, it's right out here still on my desk. Yes, size 8 round. And I really, really love this brush. This was sent to me by one of you guys, a good friend here. And I am loving using this brush. And I also like using Lindsay's size, I think hers may be an 8 or a 10 too that came in her set, about equally as much. The difference is that this Princeton Aqua Elite doesn't get that weird hook on the end like the Lindsay brush does. But it's still a nice brush, just you'd have to deal with a hook on hers, and you don't have to, at least I don't have to yet on this Princeton Aqua Elite. And I've used it quite a bit. I take it to class sometimes, but mostly I use it here in the studio. Look how bright that is. That's the Quin Gold right there. Whew. You can see I'm like, whoa, that was a lot. So I grabbed my DIY brown and kind of put over it because I'm still trying to make like a, I don't know, it's kind of an in-between season landscape. So things aren't fully green, but they're not fully brown. and that's what I'm going for because it's just a good test of all these colors. Yeah, it's not a good test of the brightness of these colors because I have to keep muting them down, but we'll just have to do some more paintings and maybe find something where we can take the strength of this paint, which is the extreme brightness, and use it to its full advantage. I will say that having a convenient dark like the Payne's Gray, the DIY Payne's Gray and the DIY Brown, it just cannot be overstated how incredibly useful that is. You don't have to mix the dark color every time you need it. And I always need dark colors. I always need a dark gray or a dark blue. I always need a dark brown. So if you get this spring floral set, look at those beautiful colors. You can make the beautiful darks and that purple and orange. I'm still not very thrilled with the orange. It's so fluorescent, but I'm grateful to have an orange. I am still glad that I didn't mute it down by adding a little blue because I don't know, I was thinking to myself when I made that orange. I use orange a lot when I'm doing like scenery, a landscape like this, but where I will have some orange flowers in it. And in that case, I really like the orange to be super bright. And so that was one of the main reasons that I didn't mute it down. And it's super easy to mute it down on my own if I need a more muted orange in a painting. So hopefully I've made the right decision. We'll see as time goes on. Now this is the second palette I have made out of a CD case. The first one was the Prodigal Sons palette, and I believe I did maybe mention that in the last video or in the beginning of this video. I don't know, I can't even remember what I did this morning hardly, so don't ask me. But if you haven't seen the Prodigal Sons video where I made that, oh yeah, I think it was the last video because I think I linked it for you guys, but I'll link it in this video as well, because that is a super fun video. And oh my gosh, now am I dying to get that palette out and play with it again. That had some really fun colors in it. But anyway, I like these CD cases because you can put the full pans in there, and full pans are big enough to put really big brushes in. So it's very comfortable. The layout is comfortable too as far as the angle for putting the brushes in. Wow, that went all wrong, but you know what I mean. So even though they're going around in a circle, it just, with a full pan, you just have the full range of reach for putting any size of brush in. So it really doesn't matter what angle they're at. Plus you have a lot of mixing space. And right now in the screen, I have my swatch sheet covering most of the mixing space at the top of the palette, but all I have to do is pull that out and pull it off to the side. And then I have the entire lid up there for mixing space. But you can see that I'm using the right, or in this case, the left side of the palette area itself for mixing as well. And it's kind of fun because you can shut it and it's pretty thin. It's also not very long or very wide, so it fits in just about any bag you have. And it's a great size is the gist of it. So if you have some appliance epoxy paint or you want to go buy some, you can DIY a lot of palettes yourself. So one thing I forgot to show in this video was how much paint I have left in each tube, and I'm going to reach over here and grab them. So if you hear some noise, that's what I'm doing. And I would say the tube that I have the least amount of paint left in would be the quinacridone rose. But you know what? There was actually some air bubbles in this tube, which kind of disappointed me because it wasn't completely filled with paint. A lot of air came out of it. So that is one of the reasons why it's very low, but the other reason is that I used it in basically every single DIY mix out there. Not basically, I did. I used it in every single full pan DIY mixture. But regardless, if I squeeze the rest of this out, I bet you it would probably still fill, well, probably a full pan or pretty darn close to a full pan. Maybe even more, I don't know. It depends on if there's more air in it or not. But if I use my tube squeezer, I bet you I could completely fill another full pan. All of the rest of the tubes have about twice as much paint in them left over as the Quin Rose. So I'm thinking probably 2 more full pans in each of the rest of the tubes. And that makes me very happy because I was very concerned, even though I'm using the paint and putting it in full pans. Anyway, I was concerned I didn't want my tubes to be emptied, you know, like the first week that I had played with them. So that makes me quite happy. And one more thing, which I will reiterate to you at the end of the video, is how cool that I got a spring floral set of 6 paints and made a complete palette out of it with all the colors that I would need. I am so thrilled that my son and daughter-in-law did not spend the extra money getting me the other set that I had marked, because I was able to make those extra colors myself and still have paint left in each of the tubes. So what I would like to know from you guys, is there anything left about these Michael Harding paints that you want answered? Is there anything I can answer for you about these paints? That's basically the gist of my question. So let me know in the comments below if there's anything else I can do to appease your curiosity about these paints. I would be more than happy to do that. Also, one of my big questions is the light fastness. So I'll be putting the light fast swatches in the window probably tomorrow. So in 3 months, we'll do a quick check on them. It probably won't be a full video unless I feel like painting with these again, which I may very well feel like painting with them, because checking up on the light fastness only takes a few minutes, so I could put that out as a bonus video. Anyway, check on them in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, the usual, just like I do all the light fast testing here. And I remember when Kimberly Crick did her review of these paints, she had some serious concerns about light fastness because of the response from Michael Harding regarding light fast and her questions, I believe. So I'm pretty sure she probably has these tests going in her window as well, and she's in sunny Florida. So we need to keep an eye on her YouTube channel and her blog site, because and her website is so complete, and I think she posts there before she ends up getting videos out on YouTube. So I'll make sure that I'll link her channel up in the corner and her website and channel down in the description box below. So I have talked about all I can about these paints, and I think I've remembered everything I've wanted to tell you. I'm going to speed up the rest of this painting and do some conclusions for you at the end super quick. Alright, I am excited to get the tape off and see what this looks like. I put a black border around it with a permanent marker. I've never done that before, but I've been wanting to for a long time, and I keep forgetting. Oh, the tape tore the paper. Didn't even feel like it was sticking to it that much, but definitely tore it and is tearing it. It's okay, I don't care at the border right now. Just would be more careful and use a heat gun if I were doing this for something super important. That tore a lot. Kind of do care about that. Oh well. My heat gun's right here in the drawer, but too lazy to get it out apparently. There. That's so cool. Love it. We will sign it, date it, and call it a finished painting. However, the most exciting thing that I think happened today is that we went from a set that had these 6 colors in it to a set that has these 10 colors and it has every color I could ever want or need. At least that's my opinion today. I'm very excited about this. This brown, oh, it's just so beautiful. I love the brown, love the brown, just love the brown. Have I mentioned that I love the brown? All right. That's a wrap. We made special colors, did a fun little painting, set up a cool palette that is the Indian street bike, I guess if you want to call it that. Anyway, that's a special brand of this type of motorcycle, and this particular viewer knew I would like that. I think it would be fun though too at some point to use this as a template and pull out watercolor paper and then do like a painting and then stick watercolor paper back in the CD case here, and then you could have an absolute custom little palette here. So we may do that, but it's kind of cool having the motorcycle there, which is the point at the moment. Oh yeah, we did our swatch sheet, laminated it. Lots of fun stuff today. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now. Why is there hair everywhere? Yikes. Oh, man, I made splotches all over here somehow. Don't know how I did that. Apparently I'm just gonna make a mess of this one. A professional cleaning job right there. Why are you two cuddling? I've never seen you two cuddle before. That's very cute. Is it because the vacuum cleaner's on? Does that scare you, Jack? You don't look scared. Hi, Duffy. Did I say Duffy's name, Jack? Are you jealous?